everyone. We are together again with another class video today. But before I start, I just would like to mention something. I know that you would like to learn English tenses, which are 3 main and 12 subtenses, just like we mentioned before. I know that you like to use them properly and perfectly, but on the other end, I know some of you just think and say that they are difficult to learn. For you guys, not for all of you, for you guys who think that way, I'd like to show you our cliche, or our, let me call, parole that we put on our symbol. Let me read it for you. If there is a will, there is a way. So if you want something specifically in learning another language or a foreign language, there's nothing you cannot do about it. So I know that you are studying English, burning the midnight oil, and I've got belief in you that you're gonna make it, you're gonna learn it, how to use English tenses, 3 main, 12 subtenses, perfectly and properly. Okay, are we ready now to get started? Let's move. Today, we're going to be talking about simple past tense. What are we going to do today in our briefing? As usual, because I prefer to show it on the timeline diagram, we're going to show some demonstration on the timeline diagram for you to understand in an easier way. We will talk about how to use this tense, which is simple past tense, properly. We'll touch on time expressions, affirmative, negative, and question forms. And finally, we'll do some practice, because practice makes perfect. I love that proverb. Right. What for is simple past tense used? It is used for actions that took place in the past. Right? Actions that took place in the past. Let's try to explain it with an example. I studied English yesterday. Let's see it on the timeline diagram. There you go. It's in the past. When do I say this sentence? I say it at the time of speaking, which is present, but the action, studying action, is in the past. How do I understand that this sentence is made in simple present? Number one, out of the word format. Why? Because studied is verb form 2. And I use verb 2 form in simple past tense. Number 2, I understand a sentence is made in simple present out of the time expression. And yesterday is the time expression of simple past tense. What is our word format? Word plus ed if it is regular verb. If it is irregular verbs, it changes. Sometimes all 3 forms are different. Sometimes all 3 forms are same So it changes from word to word. Let's try to give an example. There you go. Our timeline diagram, present, future, and past. Here comes our example. His name is Jack. Jack is tall. This sentence is in present. That is why I put is right there. Here, in the past, Jack was tall. Why do I put was this time instead of is? Because I use is in present while I use was in past. So, verb here is to be, and the present form of to be is becomes was as past form. What do we use simple present tense for? Number one, completed action in the past. Number two, duration in the past. Number three, habits in the past. And finally, number four, a series of completed actions. Let's see them one by one in detail. For number one, completed actions. An example, I went to cinema last night. Is the action going to the cinema over? Yes, it is, because it was last night. She went to Paris 2 days ago. Going to Paris action, is it over? Yes, because it was 2 days ago. So I use simple past tense for completed action in the past. I saw him yesterday. Another example. So, number two, duration in the past. Let's see the example. I lived in Paris for 2 years. Okay, where is duration in the past year? Yes, for 2 years. When do I use for? For periods, which means duration. Here comes another example. They stayed up late all night long. Where's the duration here? All night long. Number three, habits in the past. My father often read me tales when I was a little boy. Okay, there's a frequency adverb here, as you can see, often, that shows us that was actually a habit and it was in the past. Here comes another example. I always did my homework on time when I was a student. Always a frequency adverb. I see that was an past action and that was an habit in the past. Number four, here comes our example. I woke up, washed my face, got dressed, and left. What do we see here? What exactly do we see here? A series of completed actions. Okay? I woke up, action number one. I washed my face, action number two. And I got dressed and left, action number three. Alright, let's try to see an example of a series actions. Here comes our example. We went to the beach, played ball, and swam. What do we see here? we see a series of action. How many actions do we have? Going to the beach. We went to the beach. Number 2 action, played ball. And number 3 action, swam. So there is a series of actions, one after another. And in this situation, I use simple past. Okay, here comes another example of duration in the past. I worked as a civil engineer before for 2 years. Where is the duration here? For 2 years. And let's see an example of habit in the past this time. He was shy as a child. That is in the past. And the same boy becomes a gentleman right now. But now he is a very outgoing person. So he was shy as a child is a kind of habit in the past. And in this situation, we use simple past tense. Let's see past forms of the verbs. Here comes subjects. We use were to. And how many verb forms do we have? 3. Verb 1 form, verb 2 form, and verb 3 form. What do we call to verb 1 form? Present, verb 2 past, and verb 3 past participle. In simple past tense, which form do I use? Verb 2 form, which is past form of the verb. Let's see verb forms. How many verb forms do we have actually? 1, regular verbs, and 2, irregular verbs. For regular verbs, I just put ed at the end of the word. And for irregular verbs, all 3 forms are sometimes same or different, or even sometimes second and third forms are the same. Let's see regular verbs. Clean, verb 1 form. Cleaned, ed. We add ed at the end. And cleaned for verb 3 form 2. So what exactly do we see here? Clean is our verb base form, verb 1 form. I just put ed for verb 2 version. And the same comes for as a verb 3 form. Clean, cleaned, cleaned. Like, light, light. Close, closed, closed. What about irregular verbs? Go, went, gone. What do we see here? We see exactly 3 different spelling here. Go, went, gone. Go is the verb base form. Went and gone are different from the verb base form. Another example, cut, 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 or put, put, put. What exactly do we see here? No change in the verb base form. Let's see some past verb examples used in this sentence. For regular verbs, he played online games all night long. So verb base form here is play. We just put ed. Another example, we walked almost 2 miles last night. Verb base form is walk. And we'll put ed to make it verb 2, which is past, to express it in simple past tense. What about irregular verbs examples? I spoke. Spoke is the verb to form of speak. To her about the birthday party last week. We went. What is the verb one form of went? Go. Go. Went. Gone. So verb to form is went. We went on a picnic last weekend. Verbs in present, past, present, simple past forms. For irregular verbs, do, did, done, be, was, were, being, write, wrote, written, eat, ate, eaten, draw, drew, drawn, break, broke, broke, speak, spoke, spoken. Verb one form, present. Verb two form, past. Verb three form is past participle, but in simple past we use past form. Two important words, to be and to do. They are a little bit problematic too. Present form of to be is emizar. Past form of it was verb. Verb base form to do, present form do, does, and past form did. Let's give some examples. How are you today? Are here is the present form of to be. I'm fine. Thank you. Do you like ice cream? Do. Do or does, it depends on the subject. Yes, I do. What about past verbs? How were you yesterday? Where is the past form of to be? But the present form, how are you today? In the past form becomes, how were you yesterday? And the answer, I was fine. Did you do well in the exam? The past form of, do you like ice cream? Do, did. Emizar becomes, was, were. And the answer, no, I didn't do well in the exam. When versus while. Let's see the difference between when and while in usage. Here comes when and while. In when clause, we use short action, as you can see, in simple past tense. In while clause, we use long action, and it is in past continuous tense. Let's see the examples. When Jack knocked the door, I was watching TV. So there are two parts of this combined sentence. First part is when clause. Second part is the main clause. In the first part, in when clause, short action is used after when. When Jack knocked the door, I was watching TV. I'd like to attract your attention to one thing here. If when clause is at the beginning of the combined sentence, then we combine when clause and main clause with a comma, but we can just replace them, and when clause, if when clause is in the middle of the sentence, there's no comma. Okay, what is the difference then between these two? When clause is at the beginning or in the middle of the sentence. From the perspective of meaning, there is no difference. When Jack knocked the door, I was watching TV. I was watching TV when Jack knocked the door. But in here in there's a comma between them if when clause is at the beginning. Let's see the while clause. Here comes the example. While I was watching TV, comma, Jack knocked the door. As you can see, after a while, there's a long action. Watching TV is a long action. It's a continuous action. And because while clause is at the beginning of the sentence, we gotta use comma. We have to use comma. Let's turn it around. Jack knocked the door while I was watching TV. There's no comma. Why? Because the while clause is in the middle of the sentence. And in meaning, there's no difference. Also, in the usage of while, in a combined sentence like while clause and a main clause, as you can see, both sides can be in past continuous form. While plus long action in past continuous, comma, another long action in past continuous form. Let's see the example. While I was washing the dishes, comma, a long action, and there's a comma because while clause is at the beginning of the sentence, my sister was ironing. Both washing the dishes and ironing actions are long actions because they're in continuous format. Let's do some practice with when and while. Okay, let's give an example with when plus past tense, comma, past continuous tense. Okay. When, I'm going to use past tense. When the lady of the house opened the door, this time I'm going to use past continuous, the postman was walking the house. Okay, was walking on the street. Let's give another example with while. While past continuous, past tense. While the postman was walking at the street, we're going to use a past tense. Let's say that the dog looked at the cat. Past tense. And the last example, while past continuous tense, past continuous tense. While the postman was walking on the street, this gentleman was cleaning the window, wiping the window. So both actions are in past continuous form. Okay, let's see the positive form of simple past. I went to bed early last night. It's not a negative, it's not an interrogative or question form. It's a positive affirmative form. She felt sad yesterday. We watched the movie the day before yesterday and they were at home last week. Let's pass to negative form. In negative form, I'm just going to put not. Not. I did not, or I didn't go to bed early last night. She didn't, or she did not feel happy about it yesterday. We were not at home last week, and they didn't teach us Spanish at school. Here comes the question form. What were we doing to make a question form out of a positive form? I just change the place of helper, verb, and subject. Okay? Here, did you go to bed early last night? I made a question with did at the beginning of the sentence. Did she feel happy about it yesterday? This is to be this time. And still, simple past. Was he at home last week? And that's a negative question form. Didn't they teach you English at school? Okay, this time let's see positive, negative format together. Why? Because in positive sentence in simple past, I say, for example, I played piano. But if I am to make it negative, what am I going to do? I put didn't. Helping word of simple past. So, I played the piano, positive. Negative, I didn't play piano. You studied English, you didn't study English. He watched a movie, he didn't watch a movie. She swam at the beach, she didn't swim at the beach. Again, I'd like to attract your attention here. In positive form, I don't use helping word did. Instead, I use word to. She swam. Subject plus verb to. But to make it negative, she didn't swim. Subject, helping verb, negative helping verb, and verb 1 this time. He went to Rome. We went to Rome. We didn't go to Rome. Okay, pronunciation rules. The pronunciation of words ending in ed depends on the final consonant sound. Okay, there are 3 ways to pronounce ed. Number 1, it, the sound it. Number 2, t, t. And number 3, d. Examples. Wanted, as you can see with T, wanted, or needed. Both ends with the sound of it. Wanted, needed. What about here? If some verbs ends with the sound t, t. Let's give examples. Helped, looked. But here we have to be careful because the t sound is voiceless. The power, the tone of it is not much, weak. Looked, washed, laughed, watched, kissed, danced, fixed. You can hardly hear the sound t, t here. What about here the sound d? This time the power is going to be a lot more than the power of t. Cold, cleaned, damaged, loved, used, followed, enjoyed, amazed. So you can easily hear the last sound, which is the here. There are also some confusing, complex spelling rules. Okay, let's start. If a verb ends in E, then we add D. If, like, live becomes lived, stare becomes stared. If a verb ends in vowel plus Y, vowel A plus Y, then we add ed. Stay becomes stayed, play becomes played. Rule number 3. If a verb ends in consonant plus y, then y changes to I, and we add ed. And try becomes tried, and carry becomes carried. Rule number 4, verbs, if a verb is with single vowel and ends in single consonant, like single vowel O and D is consonant, then what is the double letter in not? D. What we do is double D and add ed. So nod becomes nodded, rip becomes ripped. And the last rule in spelling, if a word with 2 syllables, what does that mean, 2 syllables? For example, nod is just 1 syllable. Nod, nod. But what about commit? Commit is 2 syllables. So our rule says if a word with 2 syllables, stress on the second syllable. What does that mean, stress on the second syllable? Commit. Commit. I'm giving a stress on the second syllable. And ends in single consonants, as in here, okay, consonant T. Then we double the final, which is T, double T, we make it double T, and we put ed at the end. So commit becomes committed. Prefer becomes preferred. Let's see time words and time expressions. Yesterday, last night, last week, last month, the last time, the first time, a day ago, 2 weeks ago, 3 months ago, earlier today, earlier this week. Examples of time expressions for simple past. For last night, last week, last weekend, and so on. Ago, 5 minutes ago, an hour ago, 3 days ago, and so on. For yesterday, yesterday morning, yesterday afternoon, yesterday evening, the day before yesterday, which means 2 days ago, and so on. And some others, like in 2012, in the 1980s, that's also possible. From May to June, in the last century, and the past. Okay, let's do some practice on time expressions of simple past. I went shopping the day before yesterday. My brother went to bed late last night. She had pizza for lunch yesterday. You see the time expressions of simple past in red highlighted words. What did he do last night? Last week, I didn't go to school. This time expression is put at the beginning of the sentence and separated with a comma. I called her an hour ago. My uncle died in 2010. Okay, let's do some practice, because practice makes perfect. We'll make a positive sentence. Sam baked a birthday party. Bake is a verb 1 form. Baked is a verb 2 form, past form. Jack's mother took his bicycle out of the garage. His dog ran after him. Run, ran. We went to bed early last night. 3 forms are go, went, gone. Second form is went. This time we'll make negative. He didn't begin. We talked about it before. To make a positive one to negative, I use helping word not, but word one this time. In positive form, we have verb two. Tom didn't watch a movie 2 hours ago. I didn't go to US when I was a child, and he didn't buy any books yesterday. What about making question? Did he? I use did to make it a question. Did he? Word one. Did he go to the movies with Jack? Negative question for her. Didn't they walk to school yesterday? Did Dan play soccer the day before yesterday? Positive question for her. Didn't she decide to move to another city? And finally, we talked about simple past tense in this class. We talked about it to show on the timeline diagram. We touched on its format and usage and showed how to use it properly. We talked about time expressions, affirmative, negative, and question forms, and finally we did some practice, because practice makes perfect. And as usual, thank you for listening.